Pharma's digital evolution, navigating the new landscape of medicine.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining us over lunch. I can assure you it's going to be really interesting, and we have some distinguished panelists. A bit of an update, so Chris couldn't make it, so we're down to 3. But yeah, it's still good. We still managed with time. So yes, happy to host you for this panel. And as the person who introduced us, it is discussing Pharma's digital evolution. We're navigating the new landscape of medicine. So anything that from drug discovery to R&D, to healthcare communications, to the licensing stage on how digital technologies are impacting at a fast rate all our processes. And I would like to start from the closest person on my left-hand side. Michelle, how are you? Welcome.
Fine, thanks.
And as we discussed a couple of weeks ago now, you mentioned how there are sort of similarities of implementing AI in the healthcare setting and in pharma. Now you have a solid experience and expertise in this area. What can you say about the similarities between these two important aspects?
I think for me, what I find often, we have a lot of enthusiasm when like Gen AI really hit the market. And I think that what I could see is that everybody really wanted to go into this space, and it was going to be the great savior, and it was going to fix everything. And what I realized is that there were a lot of, and I still see this today, there are a lot of companies that are creating really nice solutions, but they don't really understand our businesses. And so we also have on our side a deficit, and both, I've seen this both now in healthcare and as well within pharma, is there's kind of 4 things I always see that you have to kind of do, and that are the pitfalls of some way. One is that I find that the use case that we're all trying to solve with AI, whether it's in healthcare or it's in pharma, is not particularly drilled down well. And so because of that, you really find that this derails a lot of the projects, or it delays them, or maybe doesn't give you the solution you were hoping for. I also find that when you're evaluating the environment, meaning what is your process? How do you fit the humans into that process? Have humans even, the process been considered, and where they're going to fit in with the technology? These are the things we constantly see are the pitfalls right now in both spaces.
I remember you mentioned there was a white paper you were working on.
Yes.
On failure of AI projects as well. Combination with Avil, and you have some 4 major learnings, some interesting things to bring to the table.
Yeah, I think for me, what we're trying to put in place is there is definitely a gap of understanding of a lot of our leadership, and even on the ground, our teams, what these technologies are and how they can actually deliver value to what we're trying to do. But also, I think what we've also learned is that really there needs to be a framework when you're going to put something in place. So you need to understand the why. You need to understand the environment of the problem. You also need to then decide what solution am I going to actually use, not start with the solution and fit it into your org. See what your problem is and see what's the right solution. But when we talk about this later, I'm sure, is the sustainability piece. People are burnt out from putting all these technologies in place and then seeing it gone in the next budget cycle. And that's in healthcare and that's in pharma. So I think these are the biggest learnings and the things we're trying to work through in this position paper that will help as a guide for people in pharma, but even in healthcare.
So there is an importance in planning beyond implementation. And that is something critical.
Yes.
Yeah, that's quite interesting, and maybe something that people here can take back as well. Yeah. No, very good. Thanks for that. I would like to go on to our next panelist, Fabio. Thanks for joining us. And we did speak a couple of weeks ago, again, based on your experience and your background, how are technologies making an impact both in the drug development and R&D space? How would you say that the novel technologies, these sort of AI-based or new technologies, have an impact?
Thank you for having me, first of all. I'm in the pharma industry since 20 years. So I saw the evolution of in 20 years happened so many things. I believe that the innovative technology is already reshaped many times the way the company, the industry is developing and researching for new drugs. Right now, I see the power of different version, a new version of the artificial intelligence, the generative and even new version of artificial intelligence is giving a lot of opportunities. If I can summarize the top opportunity that artificial intelligence is giving to the research and development is speed. So the many years of research that was done in the past that were needed to maybe to fail, not to find, but to fail a new possible drug, now some are reduced to 1 or 2 years. So this is giving a lot of opportunities to the industry to have in a fast process using artificial intelligence that is streamlining the processes and also predicting during the developing and the trials, predicting what can happen for you, for the company to make faster decisions. So to summarize, my concept is imagine a world where there would be different drugs that will be tailored and customized. So a drug that will be used for you and your body only. So there are also already these examples in our industry. So the artificial intelligence and the future evolutions will provide us more opportunity to have more customized and tailored drug or therapies per patient, which for me is the future.
Okay, great insight. Thanks for that. You did mention that you went to a conference recently, the ESMO, the oncology meeting recently. Could you give us some examples of real-life examples of how innovative technologies are giving more visibility to patients? So now we're switching more to the patient engagement part of the talk.
Yeah, innovation is not only artificial intelligence. It has also other tools that provide more that reduce the gap, the knowledge gap between patients and doctors. Okay, what I experienced, it was amazing experience in Barcelona, was in our booth. There we were giving the experience to everyone that wanted to use these Apple goggles, so the virtual reality, to so using this tool, is very realistic. First of all, you are inside a room with a doctor. You see the patient. You can get closer. You can get some data, and then you see the patient that is preparing. In that case, for example, for a PET scan. And after that, you can see very clearly the imaging of the result of the PET scan. The doctor consulting and making a decision based on that. You can go deeper and get even some data touching everything is virtual. And then during the delivery of the treatment to the patients, you can not only see when the injection is made, but also how the drug is, where it's going, via the antibodies through the body and targeting the cancer cells to destroy. So why this is important is not only because it's real and you feel and you see really everything very well, but it's also to reduce, as I said before, reduce the knowledge gap, give more transparency, And maybe I can add another word here, more trust, to increase the level of trust between the patients, the doctor, and the industry, especially if you are talking about novel therapies. In this case, it's gaining a trust not only from the patient point of view, but also from the doctor that maybe is using this therapy for the first time.
Yeah.
And can I just quickly say, I think one of the things that's amazing about AI, if it works well, is our clinicians, and even within our industry, we're all stretched so far, and that distance has taken us away from the humanity of our jobs. And I think if AI is done right, just like you said, we can finally give the doctor the capacity, but also build that trust up, which is really important, I think, at this time especially.
Yeah, no, great thoughts and insight. Let's talk about maybe supply chain. You did mention as well the huge leap in technologies for predictive analysis. So, for example, how AI is using data to understand supply chain issues or changes or political upheavals, the weather. How can you bring to the panel, bring to the discussion how these technologies are developing and how are they being implemented already?
So in one of the previous panels, it was said, what is fueling the economy today? And the answer was data. I strongly believe in that. And in a world where it's going so fast, making sure that we can analyze quickly the data is so important. In supply chain is very, very, very important. What we are doing, what we did in the past, myself in a project when I was working in UK, and I'm trying to replicate now in Cyprus and Malta, is a tool that is called predictive analytics. So we have created a huge algorithm in the past. It's fed by data that, of course, market data of drugs in the country, but also other data that might not be seen as directly relating to our industry. For example, the weather, politics evolutions, some geographical challenges, weather. This is giving us a prediction with a probability about what can happen in 6 or 8 months from now. It's why this is very important also for the patients. This can potentially avoid or mitigate the risk of possible out of stock. For example, if you discover that there might be an issue in China or in India, where there are maybe 80% of factory for this specific API that are producing this specific API, so you can plan accordingly. Maybe take some smart risk and plan accordingly. So this is very, very, very important. The data and the artificial intelligence on the logistics side is also very important in the innovative drugs, where we have cases, and this is not this is reality, cases that the shelf life of a product is 45, 60 hours. So you can imagine the difficulties if you are not fast and if you don't know all the data that you need to know at the beginning. How can this drug produce maybe in only 2 or 3 factories in the world, because the investment is not there yet, because it's a novel therapy, to reach the patient in 3 days? It's a big challenge, and without technology and artificial intelligence, this would not be possible.
Okay, very good. Dr. Sehu, your turn. As a medical director, lung cancer, US, can you give us some insight on customer experience between, healthcare professionals, patients, and the industry? Can you give us some information from that aspect?
Yeah, definitely. First of all, I think we should change the title here. Not Pharma's digital evolution, but the world's digital evolution, including pharma. And then it's not anymore new landscape, it's current landscape. So, and then I don't know if I'm qualified now with this panel, like a couple of years experience, like I'm a guy who just joined Biopharma. However, I have some experience in academia and clinical work, so I try to combine everything in one. But yeah, that's a great question. I think AI, personally, it's still in a very embryonic stage. Some folks think that it's in early stage, starting to walk. However, not only as a pharma, but as a healthcare system in the US and beyond, we are facing different challenges. There are a lot of unmet needs. There are a lot of gaps that we are trying to fill. One of them is patient engagement. And I totally agree with Fabio about when they receive the medication and see how the medication has an impact in a couple of days. But let's go back on the patient engagement even before having that medication. Unfortunately, still, I work in oncology, and then there are still patients who are diagnosed in the late stage, and sometimes there are a lot of drugs in a different company's pipeline and a lot of innovation and a lot of approvals. The biggest problem or the biggest unmet needs that we have is how we can educate this patient that there are new data, there are new drugs every day almost. The NCCN guideline in the US is updated every 3 months, every 3 weeks sometimes, based on the a new indication approved by FDA. And then how we can engage them in the daily basis. So what is their conversation in their dining table with their family? How much the young students are talking about patient identification, like if someone is going to the clinic and then are they checking only for COPD, or maybe we need to do any extra check for lung cancer or other diseases. So this is something that we are trying to use the digital health in order to make their diagnostic procedure or maybe their identification even easier, because one thing we should consider, it's all about personalized treatment, it's all about consumerization at the same time, but when we focus digital health in the patient-centric, based on the zip codes, that's when we can influence more patients to also self-identify that maybe I need to get screened, maybe I need to diagnose, maybe like someone from my community is diagnosed with a such cancer, and I need to have that kind of like mentorship, patients mentoring patients, right? This is another way of educating them. This is the patient's perspective. When we go to the HCP perspective, it's like how we can engage healthcare professionals with the most recent data already published. As we know, in the United States, maybe here it's different, but 80% of cancer patients are treated by community physicians. So the community physicians, they have some challenges of attending conferences like in ESMO. Maybe you met with my boss, I don't know. I haven't attended ESMO. So they don't have time to go to attend all of the conferences. Maybe their easiest way is listening podcasts while they're driving about the new medication, maybe like listening to some YouTube videos while they have time. So we have to find a way how we can help them through the digital. This is what we are working, not only as an AstraZeneca, but cross-collaboration with other biopharmas, with healthcare institutions, with the government as well. So we have to make sure that they don't need too much effort to learn new things.
Can you give us some examples of some initiatives or campaigns or maybe techniques, to enhance this coordination between the healthcare professional and the patient and the industry? Maybe there are some things which are implemented in the US or some other areas which Europe can learn from or can adopt or adapt.
So there are different platforms. It exists everywhere. So, for example, I was attending CHEST conference in Boston, and at the CHEST conference, we worked in the project through omni-channel strategy. Like CHEST has their CHEST Hub game, so they use the gamification how to help HCPs to get educated through their diagnostic journey. So we were working on the gamification process called LongPath, for example. It is fully unbranded that tells the HCPs what is the best way based on the scenarios, how they can educate in order to make a right diagnosis before they got treated. Because not every patient needs the same drugs. Nowadays, especially considering the fact that the biopharmas and health are just very innovative and discovering a lot of drugs. So we have to make sure these HCPs, while playing the game, they will learn also the new way of diagnosing that patients, of course, based on the standards and guideline and etc. So gamification is one of the field that, for example, biopharmas are focusing, especially using the omni-channel strategy, which is fully integrated strategy of educating HCPs.
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
I think the other thing is really interesting, and we had a speaker on this earlier, is like the metaverse is another space I don't think we've explored. Even in like, I think for pharma, there's some great examples where we could leverage that. But I also think we're using technology, and we're both in medical, and our teams are trying to create a lot of really good, reputable, robust information for both patients and the healthcare professionals. But we're drowned out because of algorithms that are against us in the sense of social media or just attention. And so technology also helps us with targeting the right clinicians, targeting the way that they prefer to get information, and also being in line with how, our doctors are humans. So if they are interacting in the real world with different, types of programs and technology, we have to do the same, and we have to do it better.
Yep, great insight on that as well. I'll bring to the discussion quite quickly, because we only have, 4 minutes left, something about regulatory affairs, which is my area of expertise. And what I can say is that throughout the industry, and actually I can see a few companies here at MedTech who are advancing quite rapidly in simplifying, streamlining, automating regulatory processes, or at least reducing the admin part of it, or bringing things into more sort of as a brainstorming exercise, or risk analysis, or root cause analysis, or using AI in developing templates quicker, SOPs quicker, getting the licensing process more efficiently, avoiding or reducing the risk of having more HAQs. And I can see throughout the industry, even in small to medium enterprises, small to medium companies, pharma seems to be, I would say, ahead of the game, or at least an early adopter in implementing AI strategies and AI tech at an early stage. Even, simplification of more admin processes, all the way to developing strategies on licensing in various markets with all the pitfalls. And of course, they'll have proprietary technology, they won't use open source, but that will keep enhancing and learning and helping out companies. I mean, in the past we used to rely on, or we still do, on, say, for example, Cortellis for regulatory intelligence. This is sort of now pivoting more into market-specific, company-specific technologies, where a company can keep its intellectual property within and keep learning dynamically internally to be more lean and more effective. And this is something that I can say has sped up in the last 6 to 12 months. It's quite impressive. Anyway, yes.
No, I was going to say in pharma, the thing too, though, is we represent different functions. When you say our adoption is high for AI, it depends. And this is the siloed thinking and the siloed way of working. Ironically, in medical affairs, we've been very slow to adopt it versus manufacturing. But on the other side, we're great with the regulatory frameworks. So we're good at risk assessing. So it's ironic, and it's again why we're writing this white paper, because we're like, you have all the tools to assess the risk here and to do the right thing, and you need to be here and stop being afraid of it. And I don't know what you think from your perspective in medical affairs on that.
I mean, what actually we are trying to do is, I mentioned the role of collaboration and partnership, especially in the United States, for example. Not only our company, but other companies are collaborating very diligently with academic institutions, especially trying to get some fresh ideas from the smart MBA students or smart PhD students. We challenge them with some questions, and then which we find some unmet needs, and based on the scenario, for example, how we can transform the healthcare while using digital health. So while collaborating with academic institutions, we are actually learning insights from their professors who also see us from the different angle. This helps us not only to think from only biopharma perspective, but this helps us to think from the academic institution perspective, also from the scholar perspective. So we have to find a way like to have cross collaboration with biopharmas as well as with academic institutions and beyond, because we cannot just solve all the problems by ourselves.
Can I just say, I know that this, just one comment from my side about one watch out, because now we are talking today, I was listening every panel before about all positive things about artificial intelligence and the innovation. There is one watch out. Someone said today that the artificial intelligence can help us, but then at the end of the day, the human is always the one with smart to make decision based on that. The watch out for me is that with the increase in investment in the artificial intelligence, there will be better data and the better learning process for the artificial intelligence. At the end of the day, I believe that artificial intelligence will be able to make even better decisions than us. And this is positive, yes, but also quite, tricky and scary.
He's playing devil's advocate.
As promised, this was a really interesting panel, and thanks for joining us. I would like to ask for a round of applause for Michel, Fabio, and Dr. Sehu for a very engaging conversation, and hope you enjoy the rest of the show. Thank you. Thanks.